Hey guys, so welcome back to another YouTube video about rhetoric, our first unit. Um, in case you haven't noticed, I'm basically just recording my voice as I go back over the lecture slides. This helps with rendering time, once it's started to upload on YouTube. And, it just kind of, yeah, saves me internet time when I just do a slideshow on my voice. Anyway. So going to fallacies. Remember, fallacies are flaws in logic. They are unsound arguments. So the first one is ad hominem, meaning attacking the person, not the argument itself. So to the man. So remember, hominem kind of sounds like human, hominem. So ad hominem, attacking the person's character. Again, it's just a guy as a big target because they're just attacking him. Next is straw man fallacy. When someone misrepresents an argument to make it easier to refute. This is when, someone might simplify your point or pick a certain part out of it that is easy to go against and disregard everything else in that argument. Like I mentioned today, some students were asking to leave early for lunch. Some students were asking for a nap time. You could have really good reasons for those requests. But for me, if I was going to do the straw man method to argue with you, I would just say, you guys just don't care about school. You don't care about this class. You don't care about me. If I wanted to do the straw man argument against you asking for a chance to leave a few extra minutes early for lunch or something, that just totally disregards your point and simplifies the request. Faulty analogy is the next one. It is when two things are being compared that are not similar enough to be an analogy. So remember, analogies are used to bring similar things together. Faulty analogy is when someone tries to bring not similar things, different things together. So if you remember this picture, if you give this to your plants, then why do you give this to your children? The faulty analogy is children are nothing like plants, or they're very different from plants. So they're not close enough to be an analogy. Next one is red herring. Again, this is a distraction or a kind of misguiding from someone. If you try to change the subject, you are trying to do a red herring fallacy argument. So, if someone says what we really need to talk about is global warming, and then the next person says, yeah, okay, global warming, but have you heard about this new crime wave or something, like they just totally blow past the main point and change the subject to avoid or to distract. A false dilemma is when you are presented with two very extreme options, and it makes it seem like those are the only two options. So this is the either or fallacy. Like I said, it's used a lot to make you feel like you're stuck with one option and the other is really bad. Like you can in this picture says, who would you rather see live? You can save the rat and have the little girl die because you're not testing medications or creams or whatever on the rat. So the little girl uses creams that are poisonous to her skin and she dies. Or you can sacrifice the rat, test products on him, and the little girl lives happily ever after. Those are not the only two options you have there. There's more than that. So these always make it seem like there's only two extreme options when there's really not. Appeal to false authority is when someone who is not an expert is treated like an expert. So I noticed this in some of the worksheets today, that some people were mistaking, like, just because a celebrity is named in something does not mean it's just an appeal to false authority. An appeal to false authority is when a celebrity makes a claim about the product, you know? So if Selena Gomez shares a testimony, like, this will make your hair so amazing, right here it says strong is beautiful, she's saying Pantene makes your hair so strong, it's works miracles, things like that. That would be an appeal to false authority. Just because a celebrity is mentioned doesn't always mean it's an appeal to false authority. I just wanted to point that out. But with influencers and stuff, they're always making claims about products they're trying to promote, and they're not always correct, and people still just like regard it as correct because of who they are. Circular reasoning is when the claim is used as evidence. So if you sound like you are walking in a circle, you probably are. You're probably using circular reasoning. We need to protect endangered animals because they are endangered. Yes, of course, but, that's just going around saying the same thing. It's restating yourself. So if there's no supporting information or anything, then you're probably going through a circular reasoning. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. So again, it's a very long Latin phrase, which basically means just because something happened first, it doesn't mean it caused what happened next. Just because A happened doesn't mean it caused B. Okay? So, every time I forget to grab my umbrella, it rains. So usually these are events that happen. So I hope it doesn't confuse you, because hasty generalization is a little similar to this. So this is usually events. Hasty generalization is when someone makes a conclusion without enough evidence. So in the assignment today that we looked at, it was Maria is driving a Beamer around. She must have come by a lot of money recently. And that's making a hasty generalization that Maria got money to drive that car. There's no evidence to say that she got money except that she's driving a nice car. But there's other reasons why she could be driving. So just remember, hasty generalization is making assumptions about somebody or something. This is also similar to the stereotyping fallacy, which we never covered. So don't worry about that one for the class. But stereotypes are a generalization. So yeah, just remember these are a little different from each other. The post hoc and the generalization, little different. Bandwagon, if everyone is doing it, you should too. Pretty straightforward. This one's pretty easy to remember because it's used a lot still as a word for everyday things. So you're jumping on the bandwagon. That means you're following the popular thing. And the bandwagon was a literal thing. So yeah, don't jump on the bandwagon. Slippery slope. So remember, this is a new word that we learned today. The slippery slope basically means something relatively insignificant will have a series of consequences and lead to something way significant. Usually it's horrible. Slippery slope is used a lot to fearmonger, to make people afraid, So if we legalize marijuana, then other drugs will be legalized too. And this one, if you skip school, you're gonna end up unemployed, kind of thing. That's not the only outcome for skipping school, So just be careful. And my favorite reference is if you give a mouse a cookie, classic slippery slope story. For me, that's the easiest way to remember it. Oh, and that's it. Yeah, so I hope that that was helpful for you. Again, this can be, I'll put in the description, but this can be played faster or slower. I don't know why I'm saying this at the end of the video, but anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you all in class.